A big reason I emphasize the biology first approach is because of this. You got to think about consent culture, right? You got to think about that shit a little bit because that stuff it's part of the laws as well. You got to think like this, man. Is that woman sexually attracted enough to you and secure enough within herself to be open and honest about her sexual intentions with you before you're alone? You get what I'm saying? This is a real question. It's a real question. What you want to avoid is women who desire plausible deniability. Because on one side, a woman may desire plausible deniability to avoid being slut shamed. But what does plausible deniability do? Plausible deniability also gives a woman the ability to say that you took advantage of her. If a woman tells you to come over, or you tell her to come over, and sex is nowhere in the conversation, but you want to have sex. If you then have sex with that woman and you turn her on, or you're making some moves and you kind of, escalating the situation up there, and then you get to it finally, she can still say, well, I didn't know that's what we were going to do. And I didn't really want to do that, but I didn't want you to be mad at me. Or a woman may be on some shit where it's like, a woman may even say she did it because she didn't want you to take it, or she froze, or whatever it is. And these days, it's going to even be a woman who gives you consent in the moment. I believe it's something called pre-consent. Like, before I'm even alone with a woman, we need to have a conversation. And preferably, when we have that conversation before we link up the first time where we gonna smash or do something sexual of nature, we have some type of text message conversation where she clearly details that she desires to be in a sexual relationship with me, right? Because what you don't want to do is this. Some women, they want plausible deniability. They're not sexually attracted enough to you for a direct approach, or they have too much guilt and shame tied up into the idea of sexuality. A lot of times female dating strategies or whatever it is. So what a woman may do is she may say, you want to come over and drink, or you want to come over and smoke, or whatever it is, right? Or she may say, come over. We're not doing anything, but come over. And the crazy thing is this. Sometimes women actually want to do stuff, but they just say that to weed out the beta males from the alpha males. One thing that happens oftentimes is that when a woman's weeding out beta males from alpha males, the way that you separate yourself is either walking away and not fucking with her, or you get aggressive, don't care what she thinks, don't care about her boundaries. You just put what you want first. And then when you're in that moment, you do something that turns her on, you get her aroused, and then you go there with her. This is the issue with that. Now, if you're not going to take it, which you shouldn't try to take it because it don't belong to you, but if you're not going to take it, a woman can have a full capacity to want to have sex with you. She can have a full capacity to be attracted to you, to desire sex, but her guilt and her shame makes her feel like she doesn't want to admit that that's why she's coming over, because her sexual attraction isn't high enough to where it overcomes her fear. Desire overrides fear. If her sexual attraction and desire for you is high enough, then it's going to overcome her social programming that says that she doesn't want to just give up her body because she wants the dick, right? She wants the dick. Plausible deniability can get you fucked up in a lot of ways. Let's say you're one of those guys who likes to drink women before you have sex. If that woman drinks, and then she gets a little intoxicated, and then that liquor gets her horny, and then she fucks you because the liquor got her horny, that woman can come back around and say that you took advantage of her. If you smoking some weed with a woman or something, then if she hasn't agreed to have sex with you before she came over, if you end up having sex, or if you try to have sex with her when you get high, or she has sex with you when she gets high, that woman could say that you took advantage of her being under the influence, meaning that she couldn't properly consent, even if she agrees to do it, right? Some women will give something called token resistance. Because a lot of women have rape fantasies. And sometimes what token resistance is, and I've experienced this with women who have come back around and told me that no, they wanted me to do it, or they wanted to go there with me. But if I try to have a civil conversation, communicating with them what my intentions were, the same women at those times would try to gaslight and act like they didn't know what I was talking about. Then some months later, they'll be like, yeah, when we were alone and we were drinking together, I wanted to have sex with you. Or, yeah, back then I wanted to do it, right? But at the time, maybe I hit them up and I asked them, like, hey, what's up? Like, you keep it like, we're supposed to be friends on some cool shit. Because I try to stick to what I say. Like, we cool, we cool. And you keep inviting me into these sexual scenarios. You got your little outfits on and we drinking and stuff. It's late at night, I'm at your room. Or I'm at your place or whatever it is. But in those scenarios, when I'd ask that woman that or talk to her about it after the fact, she act like she didn't know what I was talking about. Because oftentimes plausible deniability comes from a woman who sees you overall as a prospect for a boyfriend, but she doesn't necessarily see you as fuck buddy material, which means that she sees you as sexually attractive, masculine and dominant and discreet, right? So one thing that a woman may do is she will have sex with you, or she will want to have sex with you, but because she's already built you up in her mind idealistically as someone who could be her future boyfriend, she's afraid that if she has sex with you too quickly or uninhibited or without you thinking that you've accomplished something by her placing some token resistance in the way, that you will think that she is a promiscuous woman. And by you thinking that she is a promiscuous woman, that will put her into a mind state to where, or that she thinks that if you view her as a promiscuous woman because of how quickly or easily she had sex with you, that you won't take her seriously as a relationship material, right? So some women desire plausible deniability for that. Some women are attention whores. They're just straight up attention whores. Some women have a history of having low self-esteem, and they will befriend men because those men stroke their egos by making them feel beautiful, making them feel like they have someone to talk to, making them feel desirable. And the thing is this, she will be an attention whore. She may spend time with you. She may go out with you. She may want to talk to you all the time. And if you get alone with her, if she's not going to outright say that she wants to have sex with you, right? Because maybe she's in a relationship or she's in a situationship and she's not over her ex yet, and she doesn't want to outright say that she wants to fuck you. Because if she outright says she wants to fuck you, then that kind of might do something bad to her situation. So instead of saying outright that she wants to fuck you, she's going to talk around the topic of sex. And sometimes she don't even want to fuck you at that time. She just wants to see that sexual energy, that other side of you, because it's mysterious. You're talking to her and she wants validation, but sometimes a woman gets to a place where non-sexual validation isn't enough. A woman wants to know that you sexually desire her, because if you're truly her platonic friend, that's a lot less validation than a man who desires her sexually and romantically. So a woman may start up a sexual conversation and then try to go there with you just so that she can feel your desire, so that when you're talking to her, she can take that as validation from a man who sexually desires her. And sometimes in those particular situations, that's when a woman will deal with a nice guy. She'll be alone with him. And then, she has a history of doing a little bit of flirting with him. And then the guy will one day, out of the blue, he may get a little bit more aggressive with her. Maybe he talked to some guys who got a little bit more game and he'll get a little aggressive with her. not too aggressive, but he'll get a little aggressive with her, and that will turn her on because her lack of attraction somewhat came from her lack of respect for his masculinity. She saw him as harmless. So once he shows that aggression, it catches her by surprise and it turns her on. And then she wants to act on it in that moment, right? But that can look very similar to a woman who is being an attention whore who is not attracted to you. And she is simply just trying to get some attention. Now, the difference is this. What consent culture does these days, especially when it comes to the topic of plausible deniability, is that if a woman cannot say sober-minded, with no pressure, with, little to no contingencies, that she desires to have sex with you in the moment and then doesn't say anything that indicates she changes her mind during, that is the only acceptable form of what people consider consent. So that means a lot of things that are completely natural to how people deal with each other in sociosexual dynamics and sexual interactions. A lot of those things are things that people enjoy, they do. But when they're speaking from a perspective of their social programming and they're speaking from a perspective of political correctness, they'll throw all those things out the window. Most relationships have some form of consensual non-consent, CNC, right? Most relationships have some form of that. After you've established sexual compatibility and attraction with the individual over a period of time, you're not sitting there trying to ask for permission to have sex with your partner all the time. And some people do that on different levels depending on how attracted you are. Some people, both men and women, like to be woken up to their partner performing sex on them already, whether it's oral sex or sex. I've had women who told me just go ahead, start it when I'm asleep. I like that. I've had women tell me, don't ask me for this pussy, just take it. You know what I mean? And if you have a close enough connection and you have history with a woman, you can see her character that she's not on that Me Too type of political correct social programming shit real heavy, then you might could go there with a woman like that. But if you're just meeting a woman, some women, they're on some other shit with that. Like, some women, they get turned on the most by you just walking up behind them when they washing dishes or they cooking or something, or they in the kitchen, and you just bend her over the countertop and you just put your dick in. No foreplay, no nothing. You just put that motherfucker right in there. You start beating the guts out. Don't say nothing to her. You just walk up behind her, no consent, nothing. You just walk up right behind her, pull her pants down, or lift her skirt up, her dress up, pull her drawers down. You push her over that countertop, and then you fuck her, and then you get that motherfucker off, and then you go do something else. And some women, that is going to be one of their favorite experiences. But the thing is that isn't something that's in line with consent culture. Some women, they like the thrill of the chase. Some women like to feel desired by a man who does not care about their boundaries and their limitations and their social programming. Some women just have a fear of losing control. And instead of their boundaries being something that just protects them from, being hurt, sometimes they place boundaries in a way to protect themselves from losing control. I had a woman one time she told me something that was very poignant to me. It was some very informational shit. She said, I really like the fact that the difference between me saying stop because I'm uncomfortable or because it's hurting, and you saying stop and me saying stop because it's feeling too good and I'm afraid of losing control. This is what she told me. And that takes a certain level of intimacy with a person. It takes a certain level of nuance of understanding the social cues, understanding that, having the experience being in those scenarios. I'll say this right here. Like, this is something that goes against consent culture right here. I didn't start giving women vaginal orgasms through penetration until I got to the place where I could tell the difference between a woman being uncomfortable and a woman running from pleasure, and not being afraid of a woman wincing or running away. Because I've had so many experiences with different women to where I be hitting it and then they'll start trying to change the angle and they'll start trying to run away, or they might even start crying, right? And they might even start begging me to stop. And then afterwards, they'll be like, why'd you stop? I've had several women like that. I've also had women who, when they were in those situations, they was like, well, I was about to come. And just in that moment, it was just overwhelming, but you should have kept going. And I've had several women. I could probably count them on a hand or two that was like that, at least a hand. And in these different scenarios, I didn't start giving women consistent vaginal orgasm penetration until I was able to be in that situation where I was being aggressive and masculine and dominant sexually with a woman. And when she would get to that place where she'd be like, hold on, baby, hold on. Or she'd be like, oh, please, and they'll start trying to get you to stop. And then I keep digging and keep digging for about 30 seconds to a minute after they say that, coming all over the place. Some women I was with had their first vaginal orgasms like that because, see, there's a difference, right? There's a certain threshold of how much masculine energy a woman can take without that feeling like it's hurting her. And sometimes when a woman's sexual attraction, her submissiveness with you is high enough, her feminine energy is high enough with you, she becomes more lubricated and receptive to your aggression. And when that particular type of thing happens, the same thing that another man would do that would feel disrespectful to her will feel arousing to her, right? So it's just like there's times where, having sex with a woman, I was having sex with a woman before, and, I told her to shut up, right? I mean, that's not nothing special. We're just fucking on the floor or something. Afterwards, she's like, why didn't you tell me to shut the fuck up? And this is where the internal fight and plausible deniability comes in. That same woman would have times and moments to where she would feel different things were disrespectful depending on where her desire level was at that particular moment. That's why I think it's important that if you're dealing with a woman, she needs to have a high level of sexual attraction and a high level of receptiveness to your masculinity, because you want to be more unrefined in your masculinity. You don't want to choose and code switch when you're dealing with a woman, because that's feminine for you to have to code switch to deal with a woman. In my opinion, some men is like, no, you just talk to women different, and I ain't completely mad at that. But for me, from my perspective, I like to be raw and unfiltered in my masculinity when I'm dealing with a woman. I like her to feel that energy. I like her to feel that aggression. I like her to feel that domination and desire that. That's something that I enjoy. So these are some things to think about when it comes to plausible deniability. Some women will use plausible deniability on purpose so that if they don't get what they want out of the sex after the fact, they can say that you violated them. That's just some real shit. Some women will get drunk and have sex with you. Some women will, let you be aggressive and not verbally give you consent but move forward with the sex. Some women will get drunk themselves and then have sex with you. Some women will come smoke weed with you. Some women will tell you, I'm not doing anything before they come over your house. Some women will even be attracted to you because you're in a position of authority or power or clout. And they will put themselves in the way, flirt with you sexually, try to arouse to get some type of attention from you because you're in a position that of power, right? Most women are attracted to power in some capacity. So a big aspect of the Me Too movement, which is why I think the Me Too movement is pretty toxic in cancel culture, is that there are different rules by which people have governed things over time. Consent culture is an ever evolving concept. And one thing about that is this: nowadays, they're vilifying masculinity in a way to where if you are a man who uses your power or your success or your money in any capacity to have access to women, that you are liable for that woman to say that you took advantage of the fact that you were in a position of power to have sex with her. But what people don't talk about on the flip side is that women use their sexuality and their bodies and the possibility of sex in order to try to achieve another level of success wherever they are. And as a man, you got to have discipline and control over yourself in those scenarios, but these are real things. There's porn online. Women watch porn about fucking their bosses. Women watch porn and women do things. Women have fantasies about fucking men who are in positions of power or celebrities. And when they're in these particular type of situations, nowadays, if you have any type of power or position of authority, they'll say that you are abusing your power by using that to have sex with a woman, when a woman is throwing the pussy at you because of that. And if a woman throws the pussy at you because of that, and you think that it's because she's sexually attracted to you, and then she's doing it because she wants to have some type of advancement in her career, or some type of advancement, she wants to be the girlfriend of a celebrity, or she wants to get to, she wants to be connected to you, and then you don't allow her to be attached to you in the way that she desires to be attached to you, that same woman can take that narrative and run with it. From a Me Too perspective, she could just be a woman who was a jump off, could be a groupie. Maybe you were at a show and you were performing, or whatever it is, or maybe you run groups online or whatever it is, and a woman can come to you, and or you can have a conversation with her, or you can post something. If it's sexual in nature, she'll try to flirt with you. And if those things go from one place to another, that same woman can look after the fact and say that guy was a creep, that guy was a manipulator, that guy was taking advantage of me, when the woman herself damn near threw the pussy at you because she was attracted to your power. And this is another aspect of sexual attraction. You have to understand that just because a woman has sex with you doesn't mean she's doing it because she's purely sexually attracted to you, or that there aren't other things that are attracting her to you that she is going to feel violated or taken advantage of if she doesn't have access to those things after she gives you access to her body. Some women will do a variety of different things while having sexual intentions in the back of their mind, but they don't see the risk in that for a man. Like, some women, they have an issue with and I don't really care, but some women have an issue with my biology first approach, because, like, well, you're not even going to take the woman out on a date first. And I'm like, no, why would I do that? If I know my dick is good, if I know my dick is valuable, if I know sex with me is something that's going to be more pleasurable for her than it's going to be for me, then why would I feel like I need to invest something financially, or my time, or my energy, or my emotion, or commit to her, or whatever it is, for some sex, and I don't even know if we're compatible yet. I don't even know if she fully desires me yet, or if we're going to have any type of chemistry. Why would I go out of my way to try to be committed to a woman if I don't even know if we're compatible? Because people got to think about this. Look at relationships on a basis of needs. Now, your compatibility in a relationship, a lot of the times, is going to be based off of what needs you have, what needs your partner has, what needs can be met between the both of you, and what needs are allowed to be outsourced. The needs that can't be outsourced need to be needs that are fully met within that relationship. So if you're in a committed monogamous relationship, you need to be fully sexually compatible. If you're not fully sexually compatible, you're setting yourself up to cheat. Because if you're doing it from obligation, obligation turns into resentment. Resentment turns into entitlement. And all entitlement takes is one moment of offense for you to feel that you have the right to do something that violates the other individual, violates what agreement that you have, right? That's all you need. That's all you need. So when we're looking at situations from this particular perspective, what we're really saying is this. This is what we're really saying, and this is what I'm saying. Part of the biology first approach is based off a Brodie scale of sexual attraction. You want a woman who has at very least an 8, right? At very least an 8. So if you want a woman who has at very least an 8 level of sexual attraction to you, that's a woman who you can approach directly with a little bit of game. Lay your program down. You ain't got to lay your whole program down, but just let her know you have sexual intentions for her in a way that is sexually alluring. When you have an 8 level of sexual attraction, then sex is an even trade. It's an equal transaction. It's an equal exchange. You don't have to make her comfortable to fuck her. You don't have to make her your girlfriend or your wife. You don't have to make her comfortable through taking her on dates. You don't have to make her feel special. You don't have to take her out on a bunch of dates. You don't have to talk to her on the phone a whole lot. All you got to do is make your intentions known and express it in a way that's masculine and dominant, and lets her know that she's going to enjoy herself. Right? If you have at least an 8, you're good. But beneath the 8 level of sexual attraction, you're in a position to where that woman's desire for you is going to be more conditional. Now, understand what I'm saying. So at a 7 level of sexual attraction, her sexual attraction and her receptiveness to your masculinity oftentimes is going to be more based off of her mood in the moment. right? One thing I say is this: you don't want a relationship to be led by a woman's mood or her emotions or how she's feeling in the moment. And that's the big part of cup theory too. A woman has to have enough in her cup to where she can bend without breaking, right? She can bend without breaking. If a woman has a 7 level of sexual attraction to you, then when she's hungry, when she's sleepy, when she's had a long day, when she just woke up in the morning, when she's on her lunch break, when she's having she's busy, she's not going to be sexually available to you. The stars damn near have to align. Not align like crazy, but it just has to be a moment to where she's in the mood. A 7 level of sexual attraction is based off of that woman's specific libido. So if her libido is high that day, then she's gonna fuck with you. If other things ain't came up. But whatever can come up to distract her from wanting to have sex with you, unless she feels that she has to, which is going to come from a place of obligation, and that obligation can feel like pressure, and then that pressure can turn into a woman feeling like you coerced her. So if you're looking at a 7 level of sexual attraction, that's how it can work. You can't really pull off that masculine dominant approach with a 7 level of sexual attraction, because with that 7 level of sexual attraction, her sex drive is not reactive to you, right? So you can't really, unless she has like a rape fetish or some shit like that, you being masculine and dominant with her and just taking the pussy, that shit's not gonna work. You got to make sure she's in the right mood. Her knowing that you want to have sex with her does not make her want to have sex with you when there's a 7 level or below of sexual attraction. It can, but not really. It's more so like this: when there's a 7 level of sexual attraction, it's based off of her own specific libido and where she's at in that day and where her mood is. If you want to be a masculine dominant man, if you are a masculine dominant man and you seek to lead a relationship sexually and non-sexually, then she's not going to be available to you whenever you want her to be available to you when there's a 7 level of sexual attraction. Her availability is going to make it so that you have to somewhat just ask about sex instead of telling her what you're trying to do, right? This is if you're in a relationship, especially. So it's one of those things to where if there's a 7 level of sexual attraction, you're going to spend time together, a good bit of time together where you're not having sex, right? You're not going to have sex with a woman every time you see her or every time that you want to. It's not going to happen, because she has to be in the right mood. She has to feel like you're pouring into her cup enough. She has to feel like you're making her comfortable. You're setting the mood, right? So it's like, let's say a lot of people, when they first get into a relationship, it doesn't matter. Like whatever's going on, they're going to fuck for any reason. But after you get into a relationship for a while, that sexual polarity erosion starts to occur. And once sexual polarity erosion starts to occur, now you're in a situation to where a woman is like, I gotta wash these dishes, or I gotta wash these clothes. And I'm not even talking. I'm talking about a domesticated woman. She may be a little bit neurotic. If a woman's neurotic, having too low of a level of sexual attraction is going to cause her to be unable to act on your desires, or to be receptive to your desires in the moment. It's going to become something that feels like one of her chores, except for the rare moments when her own libido is high for whatever reason. It could have been somebody else turned her on. It could be just she's ovulating at the time. It could just be she just having one of those days where she just feeling horny. Maybe she watching porn. There's different things it could be. Maybe you send her a dick pic, but sometimes that don't work. Sometimes with a 7 level of sexual attraction, a dick pic does not turn a woman on. You get what I'm saying? So we're looking at it from the perspective of a woman's relationship to sex when it comes to you. So with a 6 level of sexual attraction, you're looking at, you have to be persistent, and you're getting just Scooby snack pussy, right? You're getting rations. You pour into her cup enough that she's like, okay, cool, you deserve a little bit of pussy, and she give you some. And she might fuck with you consistently, but she probably not gonna be having orgasms with a 6 level of sexual attraction, right? You might could eat her pussy till she have an orgasm, but you're not gonna dick her down until she have an orgasm most of the time. And if you do, then that sexual attraction is probably going to go up, right? So, the 5 level sexual attraction is completely transactional. And the thing about consent culture is this: prostitution, sex work is illegal, right? So because sex work is illegal, in order for men to try to trick, they try to trick in a way where they either just go under the table and deal with like real life prostitutes and sex workers, or what they might do is try to be a sugar daddy, right? And say that they want some sugar, right? Or they may be in a situation where they deal with a woman who has more of an escort or an IG model type of mentality, and they try to spend money on her and cash app her and buy her stuff and go through her Amazon wish list and do specific things to make that woman feel valued. Now, the issue with the 5 level of sexual attraction, when you're doing all those things because you want to get some sugar, is this. Because sex work is illegal and prostitution is illegal, a woman can feel like you feel entitled to sex when you do the things that she gives you the impression that she wants in order to have sex with you. So one aspect of plausible deniability is that by making you think that she may have sex with you, if you do certain things for her, that you do those things, right? But if you try to be direct about what you're trying to do, you're going to be in a situation to where she's going to feel coerced, she's going to feel pressured, and then she's going to try to flip the script and act like you aren't owed sex, even though you're doing things because she knows that you're doing those things because you want pussy. And that's another issue with a 6th level of sexual attraction, right? The issue with a 6th level of sexual attraction is this. That persistence, that timing, that looking for the right opportunity, that moment of weakness to where that woman gives in and she's just having a really horny day or a low moment and you're there for it and you take advantage of that opportunity, that woman will feel like you manipulated and took advantage of her, right? Some women, they'll make a relationship out of it, but some women will look back at that experience, feel disgusted because they're not that into you, and then they'll feel like you took advantage of them, especially if the dick wasn't good. Right? There's a reason why I talk about these levels of sexual attraction, right? There's issues with 5 through 7. There's issues with 5 through 7. So at 5, the issue is that prostitution is illegal, and that if that woman doesn't desire you, that doesn't mean that she doesn't desire anybody else. You're being transactional or providing for sex, which is a bad return on investment, and you're probably not going to get the most out of it. You're probably not going to get the best experience out of even what you do with this individual woman. You're not. So you have to think about those things and really put that in mind. With a 6th level of sexual attraction, that can feel like coercion to a woman. It can feel like she's being manipulated into sex by someone who she's not sexually attracted to. Now, I look at it from the other perspective. I feel like sex work should be legal. Not because I want to pay for pussy, but because people need to be more honest and realistic about the transactional nature of sexuality for most people in most relationships in some capacity, right? So you're giving a woman a bunch of time, attention, energy. You're spending time with her. You're trying to take her out. You're taking her out on multiple dates. You're trying to flirt with her. You know that you want sex. She knows that you want sex. But it's just like that song with R. Kelly and Biggie. Used to me, man, and spanning. Used to me, whining and dining. But I'm fucking you tonight. See, that song was hard back in the day. But these days, that will come off as if you're coercing a woman and taking advantage of her for sex. Another aspect of it is this. And this is something I call catching a hand in the cookie jar, right? See, one thing that can happen is this. On a 6th level of sexual attraction, right? Sometimes this can work on a 7 level too, right? And it definitely can work on higher levels well, not necessarily higher levels, right? It can work on a 7 and 6 level of sexual attraction, which is you give a woman some quality attention. You make her feel good about herself. Then you take that attention away after you make your sexual intentions known. And if she wants that attention or whatever you're providing to her, she can't get that unless she's having sex with you. I think that is perfectly reasonable. But these days, people will even spin their narrative and say that you're manipulating a woman and that you're taking advantage of her. Because they feel that a woman can't feel entitled to a man's time. A woman can't feel entitled to a man's money. A woman can't feel entitled to a relationship. Anything that you do with a woman is because You want to do it. And there's nothing transactional that can happen. If you give something, it needs to be because you want to. And I agree with that, right? Another thing is this. A woman, these days, women will say, just because you're in a committed monogamous relationship doesn't mean that you're entitled to sex. Ain't that about some bullshit? You know, one thing they've added to the list of coercion and things like that is that if you're in a relationship and you tell a woman, listen, I want to have sex, so we got to break up because I'm not getting mine. That is a perfectly reasonable conversation to have. Would it be better to just ghost the woman? Should you just be begging the woman or tell her what you want and then not put any type of, conditions on it when the conditions are very realistic and reasonable? Like, yes, listen, if we're in a monogamous, committed relationship, I like to have sex. I want to have sex. You're not really getting with it. I don't know, you got whatever reasons you got, but I got needs. And either my needs are going to be met, you can negotiate your needs. So either my needs are going to be met or I'm going to have to go because my needs aren't met in this situation. Nowadays, they've added that to the list of coercion as well. There's different people who are saying, like, if you tell a woman you do it or somebody else will, that's coercing a woman into sex. Some of these women just don't have any type of, like, self-accountability, no type of backbone within themselves, no type of self-value, self-worth. And in some of these situations, it's like, if you don't want to do it, just leave. Real shit. If you don't want to do it, just go. But these days, instead of acknowledging that certain aspects of sex are transactional for many people, if not most people, what they do is say that if you try to make sex transactional in any way, that you're coercing a woman or you're sex trafficking or you're doing whatever you're doing. I don't believe in dealing with women who have a less than 8 level of sexual attraction for me, right? So I'm not going to be in that situation. But you got to look at it from this perspective, right? You got to look at it from this perspective. Because a woman will weed out beta males and fuck alpha males. And one way this can happen sometimes is a woman will use her social programming to weed out beta males from alpha males. The dude who respects her boundaries is the guy who she's going to spend time with and who she's going to be with. But the dude who don't give a fuck what she thinks and what he wants anyways, that's who she going to fuck a lot of the times. A woman can spend weeks, months, maybe even years with you saying she's celibate or she's a virgin. And then she's going to tell another guy, I'm celibate or I'm a virgin. She might not even tell him. So she's going to go spend time with him. And instead of him respecting her boundaries by not trying to escalate the situation sexually, he's just going to go for it. He's going to escalate the situation sexually. He's going to get her aroused, turned on, and then he's going to go for it. And then she's going to do it too. And if she feels shame and guilt after the fact, but if she comes back to you after that situation occurs, she may come back to you and say, well, that's what I did. Or she might not tell you at all. And you find out and you can be like serious. We're like, listen, I gave you a pass to not be sexual with you because you said that's not where you were in your life at that moment, and I wanted to respect your boundaries. She may still try to maintain her stance. So sometimes a guy will be in that position to say, listen, either you fucking or I'm fucking, but I'm gone. I'm not, like, after you did what you did, I don't want to see you no more, talk to you no more, nothing, unless you coming over here and fucking, because you disrespected my trust and you betrayed my trust by telling me you weren't open to do this, and then you did this with somebody else who's not nearly as invested in you, right? The issue with a 7 level of sexual attraction is that there's going to be a lot of flip-flop between her feminine sexual energy and her social programming. So sometimes she's going to desire the dominant masculine energy, and she's not going to want you to ask to fuck her. Sometimes she's going to be in a situation with you to where she desires to, where you have to ask. Sometimes it's going to be situations where she's just not going to be ready. She's not going to want to do it. She's not going to be open to it, and she will reject you, or she'll go along with it when she doesn't really feel like it. And you're not really going to know the difference. Because the same woman with a 7 level of sexual attraction, when she's in her libido in a high level and her sexual arousal is high, she's going to want you to take initiative. She's going to want you to just fuck her. She don't want you to sit there and just ask her if she want to have sex all the time. That's when she's in that mood. But when she's in the other mood, sometimes she don't want to be touched, right? That's the thing about a 7 level of sexual attraction. And those are some hard waters to navigate if you want to be a dominant masculine man. because asking for pussy is not masculine. You're asking something from her as if she's giving you something when you're trying to give her some dick, right? And that mindset of sex being at the very least an equal exchange, and in best case scenario, something that you're giving to a woman that you also enjoy. When a woman has a mindset to where she feels that having sex with you is taking away from her, then it's going to have the dynamic in a place where you're submissive to her. And this is how you're submissive to her. If she has sex with you based off of her comfort level, right, and the consistency that you show, or whatever mood that she's in, then even if you try to set your pace and your program for the relationship, she may listen, she may try to agree with you a little bit, but then she's going to have moods to where she gets in her social programming, or she gets into a bad mood, or she's having a long day, or whatever it is. And in those moments, she's just not going to want to do it. And if you take that same aggressive approach in those times as you do when she's in her more horny moments, then she's going to either reject you sexually or go along with it and feel violated after the fact. You get what I'm saying? So let's jump it up to an 8 level of sexual attraction. 8 level of sexual attraction is good. With an 8 level of sexual attraction, that is, you can directly approach a woman without sugarcoating the shit, and you just let her know what you on, but you just do it in a way that's arousing and it's enticing. Then it's an equal exchange. You're good, right? At a 9 level of sexual attraction, she wants it more than you want it. And when she wants it more than you want it, then you're in a position where you're giving her dick, right? You're not just having sex with one another, you're giving her dick. At a 9 level of sexual attraction, a woman will find a way to be free. At a 9 level of sexual attraction, a woman wants the dick. So she will find a way to be free. If she's having a bad day, the dick will make it better. If she's having a good day, the dick will help her celebrate. If she's hungry, she's going to eat some dick. If she's sleepy, it's going to make her sleep better. You get what I'm saying? You get the gist of it. At a 9 level of sexual attraction, there is a lot less inconsistency in the level of desire, and there's a lot more sexual availability and access. So when there's a 9 level of sexual attraction, you can do something I call blanket consent, right? Pre-consent, blanket consent, which is once you have that conversation that you're trying to be in a sexual relationship, you never have to ask her if she wants to have sex. I mean, you can tell her. You just tell her, like, come through, suck this dick. She ain't even gotta fuck. If she has a 9 level sexual attraction to you, and sometimes even lower, sucking your dick is enough to make her feel satisfied, because she values you so highly that she gets arousal and pleasure out of sucking you off. You might tell her, because I've had women drive hours to come see me, like drive an hour to come see me at midnight, multiple women from different cities and stuff late at night, just to come suck some dick. You know what I mean? And I might have fucked them, depending on how they was acting, but that was enough for them to feel satisfied. Some of those same women, when you get up to a 10 level of sexual attraction, those same women, they will beg to do it, right? They'll hit you up, please, sir, just let me suck it. Can I just suck it? You know what I mean? They'll hit you up like, I need that dick. Like, where are you? Like, I've had women texting me in all caps, Amari, come into town. I need it. You know what I mean? I want some dick. I'm like, bitch, who is you yelling at? God damn. But when you get to that 10 level of sexual attraction, then a woman gets aggressive, right? And I'll say this too, about a 9 level of sexual attraction. When you at a 9 level of sexual attraction, a woman, you don't have to be direct in your approach in order for the conversation to turn sexual all the time. You can be indirect around the topic of sexuality, and that woman will take that flirting and move forward. A lot of guys, the thing is that you have to be direct with women. So I start approaching women at an 8 level, so I'm direct. But if you're indirect, a woman with a 9 level of sexual attraction will take your little hints and then try to escalate that and turn it into something, right? But at a 10 level of sexual attraction, what will happen from this particular perspective is that woman, you don't even have to approach her. She will hit you up and tell you she wants to fuck you, right? Or she will approach you to have sex with you. Or she will get aggressive, or she will be transactional, as in she's willing to pay for it herself. Or she may be in a position where she feels intimidated by her sexual attraction to you, so she may be a no-limit soldier. She may be like, you know what? He might fuck me too good. He's a little too attractive. I don't think I can have him for real, so let me cut off all my emotions when I'm dealing with him. or she might just cut you off if you fuck her a little too good, or she might just be in a position where she's just going to avoid you outright because she doesn't want to feel that vulnerable with someone she has that high level of a primal lusting desire for, and I will say this. I think that your character level plays a big part in whether or not you should have a 10 level of sexual attraction in a woman, because some men can't handle that. If you don't have good character and leadership ability, then that 10 level of sexual attraction could turn into a woman slashing your car, slashing your tires, trying to run a smear campaign on you, trying to do all kind of shit, trying to be crazy with you, trying to put her hands on you from a 10 level of sexual attraction. See, this is the funny thing about sexual attraction. At an 8 level, like below an 8, things get progressively a little bit less. So it's transactional. And if you're directly transactional, then that would be like sex trafficking. So if you're subtly transactional, it's real feminine. You're just pouring into her and pursuing her and chasing her. And at a 6, that's really chasing. 6, you're really chasing that woman. You get what I'm saying? And you're just being really persistent until you catch her in a weak moment. Right? And that can come off as coercion or come off as, manipulation or whatever it is. At a 7 level of sexual attraction, you just have to make her comfortable in the moment. But, part of that comfort may be smoking or drinking or whatever it is. And, when you catch her in that moment, that's not a moment that's going to be consistent. So she can switch up the narrative after the fact. If you're direct with her and she has an 8 level of sexual attraction, that's good. An 8 is good. But she may not go out of her way to try to be free. You can be straight up with her about what you want to do, but she's not going to go out of her way to be free, to have sex with you. You get what I'm saying? She's not going to go out of her way to be free. Like if she got kids, her kids home, they're not doing it. But if she got a 9 level of sexual attraction, she'll find somebody to watch her kids. You know what I mean? Like she'll do shit like that. 9 level of sexual attraction, you can be indirect with a woman. 10 level, you don't have to say shit to her. She's going to come find you. Right? But the funny thing about the levels of sexual attraction is this. It starts off where a woman is being masculine about what she desires to meet the requirements to have sex with her until you get up to an 8. That's an equal exchange. So below an 8, she has standards that have to be reached for her to have sex with you, right? At 8, you've already met the standards. But after an 8, that's where her sexual desire will start to become more masculine itself, right? So at a 9, she will start pursuing and initiating herself somewhat. And at a 10, that's where she is taking complete initiative and she's being sexually aggressive. And she may even try to disrespect your boundaries or do some of those same things. She might try to coerce you for sex or whatever it is at that point, right? She might try to be transactional and pay you for sex at that point. And there's a certain loss of control that comes with a 10 level of sexual attraction that unless you have a certain level of game and leadership skills and understanding of women, that if you are not at a certain place in your game and a certain place in your level, you will fuck it up and that shit will turn really bad. It'll turn real bad. Or she's just going to be a no-limit soldier and she just going to fuck you and dip off on you. And if you are a man who's looking for a relationship or looking to work on your program and your leadership skills with women, sometimes that 10 level of sexual attraction a woman is going to be very difficult to deal with because she is going to go out of her way to keep her emotions out of it because she is afraid of losing control with the man she's that sexually attracted to. So this is Brodie scale of sexual attraction. I personally think that the best way to start a relationship, if you're going to start one, is going to be at an 8 to 9 level of sexual attraction. Really 7.5 to 9.5. That's the best. 7.5 to 9.5. That's the best. Like if you're a guy who likes to take a woman out on a date first and set a vibe and get a feel for her personality and shit before you fuck with her, then a 7, especially if you're a provider type of guy or you like to do fun things and you're really romantic, then a 7 level of sexual attraction, 7.5 is not going to be too bad for you. That's halfway between just a direct desire and making her comfortable and setting the mood, which just means you got a little bit of game. That's all it means. It just means you spit some game, you saying some shit that make her feel good and she want to fuck with you. So with that, it's straight. But the thing is this, you got to still think about sexual polarity erosion. Over time, there's new relationship energy. So how she initially reacts to you, it can either keep growing over time based off of your understanding of sexual integration and masculine and feminine dynamics, or after a while she will get comfortable and feel that since you're emotionally invested, that either she will become more transactional because the emotion will become more of a priority and it may even supersede the sexual. So if you're on a 7 level of sexual attraction, if a woman falls for you then the emotion is going to be more important than the sex, right? It's going to be much more important. The relationship, a whole bunch of other things are going to be more important. It's going to drop down her list of priorities. And as it drops down her list of priorities, her access to it for you is going to be lower, right? So if you have a 9 level of sexual attraction and you lose a point, you still at an 8, you're good. You're still in the zone, right? If you at a 10 and you have a little bit of sexual polarity erosion, then you're probably good. If you drop to a 9, then you kind of in a good zone. But if you're in a long-term marriage and you married to a woman, then going up to a 10 level of sexual attraction, you want to see if you can integrate and still proceed to go up towards that point as you get to know a woman. You get to know her body. You get to, build your masculine feminine dynamic and your dom sub dynamic, and that level can go up to like a 10. And when it gets up to a 10, that's a good position to be in. Because one thing about a 10 level of sexual attraction is most women will cheat on a man for a 10 level of sexual attraction, regardless of what their moral standards are. So like, let's say you with a woman, I'm just going to talk some real shit. If you got a good thing going on, you got a good marriage, you with a good woman or something like that, and just some shit goes down for whatever bullshit reason, and things end up walking away, right? You end up walking away, she get a new man. If you got a 10 level of sexual attraction with that woman, you can snatch her back from whatever man she go to. That's just some real shit. At a 9 level of sexual attraction, you may not be able to snatch a woman back from another guy, right? You may not be able to. You can do that at a 10, but you're not always able to do that at a 9 unless it's really low with the new guy that she's with, right? And one thing I always say is this: is if you can make love, you can make up, right? If you can make love, you can make up. And because sex is a band-aid, and that's a good thing. And you still got to have communication skills. You still got to know how to problem solve. You still got to know how to lead and direct. And you still got to know how to check yourself as a man, right? Know when you tripping. But if you have a high enough sexual attraction with that woman to where regardless of how she feels in that moment, she can fuck with you, which is really an 8.5 to a 9 level of sexual attraction, and really like a 9. When you're at that place, then you're in a position to where even if you're not on the same page at that moment, you can still hit it. And when you're in that particular position, you're in a position to where you can use sex to kind of interject your masculine energy into the situation, to rebuild that masculine feminine dynamic, re-strengthen it, and then deal with your issues. When you try to communicate from a place of the sexual compatibility being off, or the sexual energy and the masculine feminine dynamic being off, that it's just going to lead to both of you speaking a language that neither one of you understands. And you're both going to be combating with each other and going back and forth in a bunch of bullshit, right? So you just got to walk away at that point. But if you have a 9 level of sexual attraction to a woman, you can just go ahead and do your thing, right? You just tell her come through, you do your thing. You fuck with her, you can have something called makeup sex. Now, don't overdo it because it can denigrate your authority as a man. If a woman thinks that having sex with you gets rid of your issues, right? In that you'll get over the shit and she doesn't have to correct her behavior. But you can use sex if there's a high enough level of sexual attraction and compatibility, when you can use that to get you two closer together so that you're on a closer to the same page energetically, so that when you're giving instructions and a plan to fix the relationship or to fix the issues that are going on, that she'll be receptive to listen, right? So this is just Brodie's scale of sexual attraction, plausible deniability, consent culture, and this is Brodie. I'm out.